There is an old proverb that says, "You don't miss your water until your well runs dry." The truth of this proverb is felt deeply across the northeast of India, where water had never been considered scarce until a few decades ago. Due to the effects of climate change, we see that seasons are morphing, rivers and springs that were thought to be holy are no longer providing water, and borewells are becoming a dangerous quick fix. People with no other alternatives are relinquishing their livelihoods that depend on water. There is no doubt a need for a paradigm shift in the way we approach and use water.
The rain, as a layman, though I see it, now you only have cloud burst. Earlier you see, starting from the month of maybe late May or maybe even April to say June, and you should have seen this rainfall on the summer solstice, that's 21st June. I mean, those days the rain will continue for weeks. It will keep on pouring. Nowadays what you see is you see a cloud burst for about 5-10 minutes and then it's over, back to square one. I've just come back from a tour in the interiors and I've seen that there's no water in the rivers. That's scary.
Maybe around 10-12 years back, the winter that we used to have was much colder winters, and we used to have winter rainfall also. So now what we are seeing over the last 5 years, the rainfall remains more or less the same, but it is getting condensed into less and less rainy days. So more intensive water cycle, and then winters are becoming very dry. So winter droughts are becoming very common. So we have the same amount of rainfall but condensed in less number of days. So 5 months of heavy rainfall and then nearly 5 to 6 months of no rainfall.
The effects are visible, but the causes remain beyond what we can see. Science is showing us how our water is dwindling and underlines the fact that we are all connected.
Now, Meghalaya, the way we have developed this water agenda is people-centric. So, we don't work from the supply side only. We first of all look at what people need. So, under this our flagship program, people are now encouraged to take up livelihoods. All those livelihoods and economic activities need several things to happen. Now, water is one very important thing amongst all those inputs. So, that's where we are building up the series of measures. So, right from their awareness about the opportunities, the knowledge about the technology, knowledge about the markets, knowledge about productivity issues and so forth. Then we also simultaneously work on the availability of water, not as it is available and could be supplied, but also more importantly as it is needed by them.
Water is, we call it divine, we call it water is for life. It is worldwide. Without water, no life. But I would push it a step further, saying water is also an economic good. Yeah, and it is also development. If there's water, there's development. Now, since we are talking about water and climate change, I would just like to, again, to set the framework a bit bigger. Water needs trees. If there is no forest, the water recharge is limited. If there is no water, we have no agriculture or limited agriculture. If there is no agriculture, we have food. No food, and so on. So it is central. Water is central.
Within the State Action Plan on Climate Change of the Climate Change Adaptation Northeastern Region, or the CCANER, water is a central focus that runs across the 3 states, Meghalaya, Nagaland and Sikkim. The CCANER works towards enhancing the capacities of communities and government policy makers to adapt to climate change. From broad policy-level changes in the way water is used to context-specific interventions in climate change-affected villages, GIZ's work has been exemplary in using collaborative inputs to tackle the problem.
If you look at the northeastern states, they already come and they already have rich traditional wisdom, whether it's in terms of natural resource management or it's in terms of water use or whatever. Now GIZ has consciously taken this approach that it is working with these traditional systems and adding value to these traditional systems.
In Meghalaya, CCA-NER has been instrumental in the formulation of a new integrated water policy for the 12th five-year plan.
GIZ came and I think they did a good job in helping them to develop a water policy that is more participatory. What I like most about what they did was they didn't come here and said, here is the solution. They took the plan that the people had built among themselves, reviewed in the context of the 12th five-year plan, and involved a number of stakeholders.
Drafted through a number of planning workshops with stakeholders from every sector and community, the project aims to change the way we think about dealing with water.
The Sikkim State Action for Climate Change, it was prepared using the support of various stakeholders, and GIZ actually facilitated it. So in that sense, various civil society organizations, farmers group, departments, policy makers, they got together, they formed working groups and they prepared actually the plan. So it's a plan that came up without much external, you can say, technical support, and it is like a homemade plan. And it doesn't look to be a very high-tech plan, but actually it's a plan that actually reflects the ground realities and some pilot initiatives that are already underway. So in that sense, it's a very realistic plan.
This integrated approach to tackling water issues is embraced in several other projects. In Sikkim, CCA-NER works in collaboration with the state government and various funding bodies to revive spring sheds and provide water security at the village level.
Spring shed development has been taken up in the state of Sikkim since quite some time now. And this is the same concept as watershed development, but since there are many springs in the Himalayan region, so they treat the springs, the catchment of the springs instead. So that is basically spring shed development. And what GIZ has contributed in this is to target recharge zones through proper hydrogeological assessments. And that is what we did in the Tendong Hill region of Sikkim, where we did a hydrogeological assessment which identified recharge zones from an area of around 1,100 hectares. The rechargeable areas were brought down to 70 hectares. So basically it means optimizing funds for implementation of spring shed development to a great extent.
Dharavik is also one of the, now being one of the permissible works. Many people are now included and they come on their own. Now people are very excited, they're very interested to do Dharavikas because it not only helps them earn their wage, but it also helps them to, regenerate, to recharge their springs and their water discharges. Initially it was, the approach which we had to throw from above. I mean, it was, we had to tell them, see, this is this, now you have to go about this because this will help you recharge your underground water. Now what has happened is because it has had a very large impact on the public and it has had a very positive impact and the results are, now started showing. Now people themselves are coming and saying, okay, we want to do Dharavikas in our area because we are having water shortage problems.
Under the Village Water Security Plan, stakeholders at the Gram Panchayat level undertake the assessment and planning of their water resources, making it possible for the government to then link their needs with existing schemes and projects. GIZ provides government stakeholders and community resource persons the opportunity to learn the new techniques and practices relevant to their contexts.
GIZ एक टेक्निकल एक्सपर्टाइज है इनके पास, तो उन्होंने एक्वाडम से भी टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट हायर किया, तो मैं भी उससे जुड़ा हुआ था। मैं और एक्वाडम से कौस्तुभ महामुनि आए थे, हम दोनों ने वो जो चुनबट्टी का सोर्स है वहाँ पर पूरा जो हाइड्रोलॉजिकल असेसमेंट किया और प्लान किया कि हाँ यहाँ का पानी कितना में आ सकते हैं, उसका एल्टीट्यूड देखा, एलिवेशन देखा और तब जाके हमको लगा कि हाँ किताब में वहाँ से पानी ला सकते हैं, लेकिन क्या है किताब में स्टोरेज का प्रॉब्लम है। तो हमने कम से कम 50 क्यूबिक मीटर पानी हो इस तरह का ये टैंकी बनवाने का निर्णय किया है। ये इसका पूरा DPR तैयार हो गया है और ये अभी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन लेवल के लिए जो NRDWP से फंडिंग होना है उसके लिए हमने हेड ऑफिस भेज दिया है।
The Umiam River Basin project was an example of such technical cross-pollination. The Umiam River is an important source of water for the city of Shillong in Meghalaya. But due to the pressures of population increase, climate change and industrialization, the water of the basin risks contamination and siltation. Students from the Frederick Schiller University of Jena and the Northeastern Hill University were able to conduct accurate scientific surveys and develop a sustainable model to manage the Umiam water body. This model now serves as a replicable model for other water bodies across the Northeast. Water as a resource for livelihood is also a focal point for interventions. In Meghalaya, a trout farm is being revived with the collaboration of technical experts and the fisheries department. The village of Chesi Basa in Nagaland depends entirely on rain-fed agriculture. With erratic rainfall patterns, those practices have suffered. By bringing together technical experts and the Nagaland empowerment of people through environmental development or NIPED, water security measures for rice growing have helped agriculture gain stability.
Chesi Basa is an adapted village of NIPED. NIPED and GIZ, they are partners in implementation of the programs related to climate change adaptation in Nagaland. And this are they call it a value added chain, that is the intervention program, whereby villagers are synthesized about the climate change, how they should adapt. And in fact, one program that they have taken up or they have intervened recently is the fish farm, development of the fish farm in Chesi Basa. And I have interviewed the villagers also when I went down there. They have said that it is a program initiated by themselves. No funding agencies or nobody has come and told them about all these things, but it was a villagers intervention initiative. Now GIZ is intervening in that, and I'm sure this will be a success story.
Building a database of knowledge that is both locally and globally relevant has been one of the dreams of CCA-NER that is currently underway.
Actually, the way we have worked upon this integrated basin development and livelihood promotion program, it is an integrated approach. So it is about working on the ecosystems, sustainability, ecosystems productivity, and then also livelihood simultaneously. So everything is in balance. Now when we work on the ecosystems, the complete knowledge of natural resources is very important. So that's why we put in place this Institute of Natural Resource Management. And that institute has centers. So there is a center on bioresources, there is a center on water resources, which is now coming up, and there is also a center for adaptation to climate change. So this knowledge about climate change is being factored into, because it's a cutting across knowledge. So it's being factored into all other knowledge processes, so that people, when they are pursuing livelihood, they are also aware as to what are the challenges and constraints which are likely to emerge from the climate change process, and also they are able to manage it right from now. And the job of this center will be to bring in knowledge inputs to facilitate that to happen.
The Center for Adaptation to Climate Change, located in Shillong, hopes to showcase new interventions, be a space for human capacity development to take place, and to host a database of findings from previous endeavors. In the following year, we hope to make this space accessible to all change makers in the region, from the government to individual citizens.